Thank you for your interest in Collect. This video will provide a brief outline of how to use Collect's web-based application for entry-level startups, Collect Lite. Lite comes in 3 versions: Lite, Lite Plus, and Lite Max. We will review the 3 main areas of the system: clients, debtors, and the work in progress. Let's start with clients. There is no limit to how many clients you can list in Lite. On the client screen, you will see the demographic information for that client and a summary of accounts. Along the bottom, you will see the tabs for the client subrecords. When you click on Edit Client Information, you will be taken to a form with fields where you can update your client information. The Contact Information tab contains the standard demographic information. The General Information tab contains 2 sections. Status and Operator, these fields are for tracking only. New Accounts, the value selected from the drop-down in the Account Operator and the Sales Operator will be filled in on the debtor information when new accounts are created for that client. The action plan you select from the drop-down will automatically run when new accounts are created for that client. Action, or contact plans are workflows that allow you to control the flow of an account from placement to closeout. Once you have mapped out the flow on paper, you can create the applicable plans. The Advanced tab contains the following: Alternate client number, user-defined if you use an alternate client numbering system. Owned by client number, if this client is a branch office of a larger corporation, you can enter the parent client here. Class, this will likely always be collections. Category, most clients will be standard, but you can also select prospecting, master, or parent, legal, or forwarding. Debtor sort order, this controls how debtors are sorted when statements are generated. Recovery rate calculation, the success rate on the client is based on paid accounts over listed accounts. Use the radio buttons to control if this formula uses all accounts or just closed accounts. The Statement and Invoice Setup tab allows you to control the remittance type and frequency. Variable interest is an optional module, not yet supported in Lite. There are 3 fee options in Collect: flat dollar, flat percentage, and scaling percentage. A flat dollar fee is set on this tab. Both flat and scaling percentage fees are set on the Commission tab. If you plan to use a flat dollar amount, use the optional fee setup area at the bottom of this screen to enter your flat dollar amount. The Commission tab is where you would enter the commission rate. Use the commission rate plan setup if you want to use scaling percentages. If you select a commission rate plan, any value in rate 1 will be ignored. Use the general commission rate setup if you want to use flat percentages. Enter the primary rate into rate 1. You can enter more rates into rates 2 to 4. For example, if you have a rate of 25%, but you want to recover 100% of fees, you can enter 25 into rate 1 and 100 into rate 2. In the Apply To section, you would then check the boxes that each rate applies to. The Taxes tab uses the same concept as commissions in terms of entering rates and checking the boxes in the Apply To section. Please note that the tax is calculated on the commission amount, not the payment amount. Credit Bureau Reporting is an optional module available with Lite Plus and Lite Max. If you subscribe to this module, you can use the Credit Bureau Setup tab to set up this client for reporting to 1 or more credit bureaus. On the client form, under the Summary Information, you will see the following tabs are available for each client: debtors, notes, events, attachments, invoices, statements, payments, and operators. By default, the client will open to the Debtors tab that shows all of the accounts placed by this client. The Notes tab provides a place where you can add notes specific to this client for your own use. The Events tab will show contact events that you have programmed for this client that will appear in the Work in Progress list. If you use Collect for Sales, you can create a Work in Progress list for your sales staff based on client events. The Attachments tab is your repository for any attached documents for this client. The Invoices Statements tab shows your entire invoicing history for this client. The Payments tab shows the payment history for this client. The Operators tab lists the operators who can sign into your system and review the information for this client. This is an important function if you allow your clients to access your system, and provides the mechanism by which they can see their own accounts, but not the accounts of another client. The debtor screen has the same basic organization as the client screen, with the demographic information on the left and the account information on the right. Along the bottom, you will see the tabs for the debtor's sub-records. When you click the Edit Debtor Information icon at the right, it will take you to the Edit Debtor Information form with fields where you can update the debtor information. The form opens on the Contact Information tab that contains the standard demographic information. The General Information tab contains two sections. The top section contains Client Account Number. This is the unique identifier provided by your client. This is different from your debtor file number. It is important that the client account number is not confused with your debtor file number. Score. This is a user-defined field used for tracking. Status. This shows where the account is in the collection's lifecycle. Mode. Can be active, closed, pre-collect, or suspended. This field determines if you are actively collecting on this account. Type. This is user-defined for tracking. Collector. This shows the operator assigned to this account. Sales. This is for tracking purposes if you offer sales commission. The bottom section contains Parent Client. This is an alternative way of tracking client ownership if your client has unique reporting requirements. It will likely be left blank. Forward. Use this for tracking if you have forwarded this account to another collection agency. Legal. Use this for tracking if this account was sent to a lawyer for legal action. Listed date. The date the account was placed with the agency. Delinquent date. The date the client deemed the account delinquent. If you are reporting to the credit bureau, this value must come from the client, you cannot fabricate it. Charge date. The initial date of the debt. This is usually the same as the invoice date. The remaining fields are user-defined. You can use them any way that is useful for you. The Personal Bank tab contains personal information like SSN, date of birth, and driver's license. This tab also contains fields where you can record banking information, if you use Collect for checks by phone. The Interest tab allows you to set the original interest, if the client supplied an original interest amount, and the interest rate, if you use this function. At present, only simple interest is supported in Lite. By default, the commission and tax rates that were set on the client form will cascade to all the debtors belonging to that client. However, the debtor commission and tax tabs allow you to modify these rates on a debtor-by-debtor basis. If you subscribe to the Credit Bureau Reporting module, the CBR tab will be visible. On this tab you can set up and manage the CBR settings for this debtor. The Miscellaneous tab is completely user-defined. On the debtor form, under the Summary Information, you will see the following tabs are available for each debtor: Notes, Events, Attachments, Related Parties, Transactions, Group Members, Group Notes, Group Events, Group Attachments, Group Related Parties, and Group Transactions. By default, the debtor form opens on the Notes tab that shows all of the notes your operators have made on that debtor. The Events tab shows all the contact events that have been programmed for this debtor. These planned events will appear in the operator's work in progress list on the assigned date. Letter events will not appear in the WIP list. They will get printed when you do your batch printing. The Attachments tab provides a place for you to store any documents for this debtor. The Related Parties tab provides a place for you to list related parties to the debtor, such as a spouse, relatives, and employers. The Transactions tab contains the financial details of the account. This includes the original principal, fees, and all payments. The Group Members tab becomes visible only if this particular debtor has multiple debts and has been set up as part of a group. If this debtor is not part of a group, this and the other group tabs will not be visible. This tab shows you a summary of all the tabs for the group this debtor is a part of. The remaining group tabs provide places to retain notes, events, attachments, other parties, and transactions that relate to that group, rather than just an individual debtor. Now let's go to the Work in Progress list. Each operator will have their own Work in Progress list that will show them a list of their current tasks. The Work in Progress list is where your operators will spend most of their time working. The filters and sorting fields at the top allow operators to refine their WIP list so they can work more efficiently. The first filter field showing all possible operators is only available for managers, or operators with the group option enabled. The orange Select Columns button on the right of the WIP list allow operators to select which columns they want to appear in their WIP list. When you click on a WIP list item, it will open the WIP event screen with summary information to work the account. The WIP event screen will display the active contact information. You can undertake the action, forward it to a new date, or mark the event as done. You can add a note regarding the event in the note field. Finally, you can decide on the next event for this account. For the next event, you can either run an action plan or add an event. If you run an action plan that creates future events, then you do not need to create one manually. The Add an Event section enables you to create a simple follow-up event. If the WIP event screen does not contain enough information, you can click the Go to Debtor button in the bottom left to open to the debtor screen. Clicking the Go to Debtor button will open the debtor account with the current WIP event highlighted in the orange bar above the tabs. From here you can review the account, proceed with the necessary action, then click the orange bar to manage the current WIP event. Once you have marked the contact done, Collect will return to your Work in Progress list. You can see how the Work in Progress list allows you to schedule and complete contact events smoothly while recording information that will be useful for later review of the account. For a live evaluation of Collect, please visit demo.collectcloud.com. For information on the settings, please refer to our help documentation. Thank you for taking the time to evaluate Collect. If you have any further questions, please email sales@collect.org.